Hello, everybody. This is Kendra Kanoy. I'm coming to you from my parents' house in Auburn, California. And I think I'm officially over my jet lag. I landed a week ago yesterday from South Africa, and it's been a doozy. Not too bad, except there were a couple of nights when I first got to Auburn where I was going to sleep on the couch at 6 p.m. So, of course, that would mean I was up at 3 and 4 a.m. So anyway, so last night I was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I think I'm all set. So before I got too far away from my experience in South Africa, I wanted to share some thoughts because when I had looked at the itinerary and possibilities of where to travel with the Hacker Paradise group that I joined, South Africa, at first, my very first reaction, because I had learned that they have a severe drought there, and they actually had, I don't think they have it anymore, but they had a day zero of when they were expected to run out of water. So I thought, why would anyone go to a place that's about to run out of water? That seemed scary. So they still have severe issues, and I think they're going to be doing rolling blackouts, which someone might need to educate me. I don't understand why turning the electricity off helps with water, but I don't know. But anyway, so there's still a lot of concerns. There's a lot of corruption from their previous government, apparently. So anyway, so being there, it was really like being in California. So I've been in California most of my life, and we've had drought issues, nothing as severe, but we didn't really use this, and maybe this is because I was in an Airbnb rental and they give a little bit more leeway to tourists, but some restaurants had gray water, when you're running the water and you're not using it and you keep that bucket. Some toilets, they would have you flush it. There was one that I couldn't figure out. I was reading the rules and I just, left my pee in there. So you do want to be very conscious. I did realize, I know this, but just turning off the shower while I was shaving my legs or, putting conditioner in. So you really get more conscious of your water usage. And I think we were allowed, I can't remember how many units, but we were allowed a certain number per person. And I think if your meter read more, you'd get fined. So, but they served water in the restaurants, and, so it wasn't as bad as I had thought it was going to be. So the second issue that I was concerned with was crime and safety. Several people will tell you that Johannesburg, which is a different city, that's like kind of their main financial center. It's like their Manhattan. You wouldn't want to go there. Although, of course, it depends on who you're talking to. But apparently crime is way more intense there. Cape Town is very similar to San Francisco. And I talked to one local, well, she's a transplant from Colorado. And she said, where we were staying was kind of like staying in the Beverly Hills. So it's not going to be as intense as other areas. So when we first got there with Hacker Paradise, we had a meeting to go over the rules. And coming from Croatia, which was super safe, I was walking alone, 11 p.m., midnight, and didn't feel threatened at all. And of course, I've got street smarts. I've lived in San Francisco for 12 years of my life, but we were told, women after dark, never to walk alone. Men pretty much after dark too, if you can go in a pair. Hiking, have at least 3 people, if not more, like 4 or 5. I was particularly called out for my Facebook Live and Instagram stories to not have my phone out. So that was kind of an interesting thing, is because I wanted to be documenting everything that I saw, but it's not smart for me to be waving my cell phone around. So I had my fanny pack, which some people made fun of me, but I loved my fanny pack. I had all my, valuables there. We were also told to basically prepare to get stuff stolen. Prepare, so only bring one credit card. I'd never brought my license, or definitely not my passport, in any purse or fanny pack, because, you can expect to get mugged. So the first day getting all of these rules, we were even told in the back of an Uber not to have your phone out because they would smash windows and grab if they saw you. But after about a week, we adjusted and it wasn't as big of a concern. You just have to have like your ultra street smarts about you. And really all of this is because of, I think someone told me that they have the biggest disparity between the rich and the poor. So you have the neighborhoods that are on the cliff that are reminiscent of our, what am I trying to think of in LA? You know, the fancy places on the ocean, and in San Francisco, like the Pacific Heights, you know, so you've got your really wealthy and amazing places. And then you've got what are known as the townships, which are where during apartheid, where they swept all the Black people and colored people out of the town. And so now most of them are ghettos. They're all ghettos, but some of them have, you know, they're not all shacks necessarily. Some of them have houses and stuff. So because of that, when you have really rich and really poor, you're going to have people that want to steal. And, you know, so that's a greater social issue. So I think the only time that I really got frustrated with it is, at night. You know, I remember my last night out, it was just shutting down and I wanted to go to bed. It was like 2 a.m. and my apartment was literally 2 blocks away, but I couldn't walk that. And it feels, even, I should call an Uber, and we're told to, even if it's 2 blocks, you should call an Uber. But I just was waiting for one of the guys in our group to go, or, you know, to try it. And so you feel, and this friend that I made who was from Colorado, who'd lived there for 9 years, I think, I said, you know, there's times where you feel like you're in prison because you can't do what you want to do. Like, I want to just walk down the street, but for your own safety, you know, you really can't. So that is definitely a challenge. And I think in the very first week or so, I was just enamored with how gorgeous Cape Town was. And, you know, we're going to the beach and the wineries, and we're, you know, taking advantage of all the beautiful things. But it definitely does taint, after being a while, it taints the experience, knowing that, you know, hearing of all the stories of people's houses getting broken into. And we actually had a guy in our group who we were calling it like a soft mugging, but I guess it's a mugging. Just a homeless person came up and said, you know, I'm not going to hurt you because you're going to give me money. He didn't have a weapon. So that's why we were questioning whether it was a legit mugging. But anyway, so this is happening, you know, with people that you come into contact, for sure. So it's very common. So I guess my takeaway is it was fine. I didn't personally have any issues, but you really have to just use your street smarts as the ultimate, you know. And then the last topic is, you know, strange and weird to talk about, is the racism. So they had apartheid from, don't quote me exactly, but I think it's 1948, and it ended in 1994. So that was a complete segregation of Blacks/coloreds and whites. And I just kept making comparisons to our civil rights movement, and we had segregation not as extreme, but pretty similar, that ended in the 60s. So we are in the United States 30 years ahead of what they're experiencing. And of course, we all know in our current climate, we're still dealing with some pretty major racial issues. So, and I found it interesting, a local girlfriend that I had made who was from South Africa, you know, made a comment about people, everyone assumes they're racist. You know, the white people there are all racist. And I kind of said, well, yeah, there's that assumption. But just like with anything, when things happen from a generation or two ago, you inherit this culture and this situation where you've got this segregation. And now that it's ended, we all know that, okay, the Black people aren't just going to come pouring out of the townships and, you know, schools, and everything's not going to be mixed, you know, right away. So you definitely had all the service people are Black. So all the, you know, kitchen people, cleaning staff, security guards. So there were security guards in our neighborhood. All the Uber drivers. I had one guy who I thought was white, but he was mixed. I said, "Oh, you're the first white one." But so it's, it's kind of more, it's half that socioeconomic thing now, but I didn't see any. I guess I had one conversation with a younger 21-year-old guy on the plane, a white guy, and he was, going back home, and he kind of he didn't realize it, but the terminology he was using was racist and what I would consider. So I think that really it's such a big problem. It's such a complex problem where, yes, it was based completely on race, on the color of your skin during apartheid, but now you've got all these issues of the economic disparities. So it's not necessarily about race. So it's definitely interesting, and it made me reflect a lot on where Americans are currently. So, but I think, the only thing to do and I think for all of these things is to go visit, to go learn about a culture. I mean, I really loved my conversations with the Uber drivers, who a lot of them were from Zimbabwe and Congo, and they had come there because of the opportunity. Learned a lot about, some of the political movements that were being made. So one of the things that's, I don't know if it's actually still on the, I would say, ballot, I don't know what they have, but was to take land away from the white farm owners and then just give it to Black people to kind of even that out. Well, some Zimbabwean Uber drivers that I made friends with said that same thing happened to their country, but you can't just take things away. You can't solve a problem that was caused by taking things away, by just taking things away now it's a different generation. Like, you've got to, everyone was suggesting that they need to have the white farmers train the Black people whoever's going to take it over to educate them on how to run a farm, and then give profits, to the white farm owners, for example. So this is just one situation. So anyway, yeah, it's really eye-opening, a lot to learn, and but ultimately it was a great, beautiful country, beautiful land, especially in Cape Town, where you've got the oceans on all sides and the mountains create a backdrop everywhere you go. So so those are my takeaways. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hi, Danielle and Kevin and Jamie and Donna. I'd love for you to all go and share your experiences, and thanks for listening.